The earth of Morocco does not just hold the bones of the dead, it holds the chains of the things that killed them. We speak of a lineage that forged its glory not with gold, but with the blood of sacrifices poured into the foundations of their homes. In the deep south, where the silence is loud enough to break a man's mind, a fortress stands as a monument to a pact made with the Djinn. This is not a story of inheritance, it is a story of a debt that has finally come due. Listen closely, for the whisper you hear behind you is not the wind, it is the breath of the guardian waiting to be fed. Do not cover your ears. The horror of this tale is designed to seep into your marrow. Welcome to the legacy of the Red Mercury. In the desolate heart of the Atlas Mountains, the fortress of the Mansour family stood like a jagged scar against the sky. It was a riad of suffocating grandeur, where the walls were thick enough to muffle the screams of the past. Mansour was the latest master of this cursed stone, a man born into a cradle of heavy, cold gold. His father, the tyrant Hamu, had raised him in an isolation so profound it bordered on madness. While other children played with wooden sticks, Mansour played with figurines cast from solid gold, toys that felt unnaturally warm to the touch. These were not gifts of love, they were artifacts of a dark materialism, binding the boy's soul to the earth. Mansour grew into a man of iron and greed, inheriting the title of Qaid and the terrifying silence of the riad. He tried to flee the shadows of his ancestry, sending his own children across the oceans to America and France. He bought them lives of plastic modernity, hoping to sever the umbilical cord that tied them to the spirits of the Kasbah. But the Djinn do not forget their contracts, and the bloodline is a leash that stretches but never breaks. As his age advanced, the fortress began to reclaim him, invading his sleep with visions of fire and ash. Night after night, Mansour would wake gasping, his chest crushed by the invisible weight of a Bugat, the sleep paralysis demon. In the corner of his room, a figure shrouded in gray rags would stand, pointing a rotting finger toward the sealed wing of silence. "The gold is crying," the entity would hiss, its voice sounding like grinding bones. "Dig, release us." His wife, Lala Aisha, watched him wither, his skin turning the color of old parchment, his eyes wild with unseen terrors. She begged him to ignore the whispers, reminding him that the wing of silence was sealed by his grandfather for a reason. "There are things buried there that do not breathe air," she warned, "things that eat the light." But Mansour was possessed by the promise of the dream, his mind rotted with the greed of the Ifrit that whispered to him. He summoned Kadur, the ancient servant whose family had served the Qaids since the days of the Black Pacts. "We dig tonight," Mansour commanded, his eyes glazed over with a milky film of madness. Kadur recoiled, his face draining of blood. "Master, no! That ground is a rasad, a guarded seal." "Your grandfather did not just hide treasure," the servant wept, trembling. "He buried the slaves who carried it alive. They are the Asas, the eternal sentinels. They will drink the life of anyone who breaks the stone. A cousin of yours tried once, and they found him with his neck twisted like a rag doll." Mansour, deafened by the whispers in his head, struck down the old servant and grabbed a heavy iron pickaxe. He marched to the sealed wall, where the temperature dropped so low that his breath turned to ice. He swung the pickaxe. Thud. The sound was dull, like striking the rib cage of a giant beast. He swung again. Crack. a smell of sulfur and ancient decay vomited from the fissure. On the third strike, the wall did not break, it retaliated. A blast of invisible force, heavy as the ocean and hot as hellfire, slammed into Mansour's chest. He was thrown backwards, his body contorting in mid-air, as if seized by a giant, invisible hand. He hit the floor, his spine shattered, his mouth frozen in a silent scream of absolute agony. He lay there, eyes wide and staring, trapped in a body that was now a prison, watching shadows dance on the ceiling. The local healer, Faqih Jalali, came and saw the mark of the Taba, the curse, etched into his aura. He has touched the forbidden, the Faqih trembled. The kings of the Djinn have claimed his motor functions. Mansour died days later, his soul ripped from his body in a final convulsing moment of terror. His children returned for the funeral, strangers in black suits looking at the ancient walls with boredom and disdain. They wanted to sell the riad, to liquidate the horror and turn it into dollars and euros. But the riad had one final trap to spring. A week after the burial, a black limousine with tinted windows glided through the gates like a hearse. 3 men emerged, their presence radiating a cold, predatory authority, like sharks in human skin. They sat with Lala Aisha and produced a document made of skin, written in saffron and blood. "We are not here for the house," the leader said, his voice smooth and dangerous. "We are here for the inventory." Lala Zora read the list: chests of emeralds, ancient grimoires, and gold coins from lost dynasties. But at the bottom, one line made her heart stop. 20 vials of Red Mercury. Red Mercury, the substance of legends, the food of the Djinn kings, the most dangerous material on Earth. "We want the mercury," the man smiled, revealing teeth that seemed too sharp. "The rest is yours." The realization hit her like a physical blow. Her family had been sleeping on top of a spiritual nuclear bomb. She sent the men away, feigning ignorance, but the poison of potential power had entered her veins. She summoned Kadur and the Faqih, showing them the list with shaking hands. "Your husband's grandfather was a sorcerer king," the Faqih whispered, terrified. "He bound this mercury with Sir Aswad, black magic." "To open that vault without dying," Jalali warned, "we need more than a pickaxe. We need a sacrifice. We need..."